Hey there! So, if you're a car owner in Singapore or even just thinking about buying one, listen up. The entire game just changed, and we're going to break down this huge policy shakeup and figure out what it actually means for your wallet and the future of your car.
Okay, so picture this. You're looking for your next car. You're doing the math, you're comparing models, you're stressing about the COE, you know the drill. It's a massive decision, right? Well, guess what? The government just threw a giant wrench right into all of your plans. And here it is, the big reveal. That scrap value, the cash you always counted on getting back after 10 years, yeah, that just took a nosedive. We're talking a massive cut for any new car registered from now on.
This all came out of nowhere, really. It was part of Prime Minister Lawrence Wong's budget speech on February 12, 2026. He announced a huge change to something called the PARF Rebate system, and trust me, the shockwaves are going to be felt everywhere in the car market.
Okay, let's get into the numbers. First up, the cap. The absolute most you can get back when you scrap your car, that's the PARF rebate, has been chopped in half, from a max of $60,000 down to just $30,000. Now, obviously, that really stings if you're buying a high-end car, but believe me, the changes go way deeper than just that.
And wow, this chart really shows you the heart of the issue. It's kind of shocking, actually. See, before, if you scrapped your car in its last year, you'd get 50%, half of the main tax back. Now, you get 5%. 5! That's not a small change. That's a 90% drop in what you thought you were getting back. At the end of the day, the financial reason to scrap your car, it's pretty much disappeared.
So you might be wondering, why is this such a huge deal? To get that, we've got to take a quick step back. Let's look at why this whole PARF system was even a thing in the first place.
Right, so PARF, it stands for Preferential Additional Registration Fee, which is a mouthful, but think of it like this. It's basically a tax refund. You pay this big tax up front, the ARF, and the government gives you a piece of it back as a thank you for getting your car off the road before it turns 10.
And this whole idea has been around since 1975. And the logic was pretty straightforward. Step 1, get people to scrap their cars early. Step 2, that means we get newer, more modern cars on the road. And step 3, the big goal, that leads to less pollution. Simple, right? But the government's priorities are changing, and that's the key to this whole story.
So, what's the new priority then? Well, this isn't an across-the-board hit. Oh no. This change creates a very, very clear winner. And that winner is the electric vehicle.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's put a petrol car and an EV head-to-head. You got your Honda HR-V, a super popular petrol car. Its scrap rebate just plummeted from over $8,000 to about $800. Ouch. Now look at the EV, like a BYD Attos 3. Its rebate was always tiny to begin with because of all the EV incentives. So yeah, it drops too, but who cares? The huge financial edge the Honda used to have, it's gone. Poof! The playing field has been completely leveled.
And you can bet this is a total game changer on the showroom floor. For years, the argument from petrol car dealers was, hey, sure, buy our car, you'll get way more money back at the end. That was a major selling point. But as this quote says, that argument is now dead. It's gone. This one policy change has just taken away one of the biggest reasons people had to stick with petrol.
But it's not just about new cars. The ripple effects are spreading, and it's creating a really weird split in the used car market. It's like we now have two different worlds for used cars.
So listen up, this is super important if you're ever going to buy a used car again. There are now two types of used cars out there. You've got cars registered before February 12, 2026. These are the lucky ones. They get to keep the old, much higher rebate. Then you have cars registered after that date. Their scrap value is going to be way, way lower. We're talking maybe 10 times lower. So the big takeaway here is you have to check that registration date on the log carb. It's non-negotiable. And the ripples just keep on coming. What else can we expect? Well, for one, dealers are probably going to bring in fewer petrol models. Why bother? And with no real money in scrapping, a lot more people are just going to renew their COE and drive their car into the ground. And that means the average age of cars on the road is probably going to go up, which is a total reversal of what we've seen for decades. So you got to ask, why? Why such a drastic move? Well, this wasn't just a random decision. It's a very deliberate piece of a much bigger puzzle. It fits perfectly into Singapore's long-term plan for the future of transport.
And this timeline lays it all out. Look, back in 2025,
EVs were already almost half of all new car sales. By 2030, you won't even be able to register a new car that runs purely on petrol. So this PARF change, it's like hitting the accelerator on that plan. The government's message has changed. It's not buy a newer car anymore. Now it's buy an electric car.
And that leads us to one last really fascinating thought. So these new rules are basically pushing us to keep our cars longer, right? Maybe 15, 20 years. A petrol car from 15 years ago, it still works fine today. The technology is stable. But EV check, it's moving at the speed of light. So here's the question. Is the brand new EV you buy today going to feel like a total dinosaur in 15 years, with a battery that seems tiny and tech that's completely obsolete? And that's the big new question mark hanging over Singapore's car market.